While waiting for the playtest rules update to drop before making any more warband videos in case they completely go out the window, I figured I'd tackle something that seems relatively safe and entrenched: the Flamethrower. For 30 ducats, we get an 8-inch gun that always hits and ignores armor, but crucially has a -1 dice to its injury roll. It also has the fire keyword. How good is this actually as an anti-armor option when factoring this in? I see it popular to equip to a grunt unit due to ignoring their bad stats, but is this actually worth it? Let's compare with a bolt-action rifle. The Flamethrower, due to ignoring armor, will have fixed values for inducing both down and killing. For downing, it has a 32% chance of downing any target, while the bolt action has a 58% on unarmored, 42% on standard armored, 28% for reinforced armor, and a 16% chance for -3 armor. So, in terms of downing, we only really see a benefit when fighting maximally armored units. Machine armor ignores downing though, so while this stat is nice, it isn't really too important for fighting an army of mechanized infantry, for example. I'll note that if you're fighting Heretic Legion or House of Wisdom, the Flamethrower becomes a barrel scraper, with a measly 17% chance of downing, meaning it barely outperforms a bolt action with a third of the range and 3 times the cost. Likewise, the Court's Infernal Armor and Demonic trait similarly renders the Flamethrower more of a confetti cannon. The chances of killing, though, are significantly more important. The Flamethrower's chance of killing is set at 11%. Not great, but let's see how this stacks up. Bolt action kills unarmored at 28%, armored at 17%, reinforced armor at 8%, and level 3 armor at 3%. So, again, reinforced seems to be the inflection point, but there only being a feelable difference when fighting maximally armored units. So yeah, it does give you a significantly higher chance of killing your opponent's toughest units, but this does come with some serious considerations. As mentioned previously, they are quite expensive, and while always hitting is nice, you have one of the shortest ranges in the game, meaning if you do not secure that kill, more than likely said super tough unit will be able to immediately kill your much weaker unit in retribution. Also, again, fighting Heretic Legion or House of Wisdom really does render your Flamethrowers quite pathetic, with only a 4% kill chance, barely eking out a victory only against max armor opponents for a huge cost of both ducats and positioning. So, just looking at this, the lone flamer unit I'd say most of the time is not worth it, and is going to end up dead trying to get in range, or failing their still almost 90% chance of not killing the unit. Against some units, like the Artillery Witch, this can still be an okay trade, but in general, not. This just tells us though, that we don't want flamers operating on their lonesome turn 1. Let's look at how they play out when there's a blood marker in play. The flamer's kill chance jumps up to 28%, while the bolt actions are as follows, following the same order: 52%, 35%, 19%, and 7%. While there wasn't a change in which categories it's most effective in, the gap has widened significantly, whereas previously at reinforced armor there was only a 3% difference, now there's a 10% difference. Also of note, nearly a 3 out of 10 chance to kill your opponent's toughest unit is well worth the cost trade, so this is where having the flamer beat a follow-up attack on a unit makes its mark and is the more viable way of utilizing them. New Antioch with fire teams can make even more havoc with the idea of a double flamer fire team, as, assuming no fire immunity, which is the rarest in the game, the first one will rack up 2 blood markers, which the second can consume to give a whopping 52% kill chance. Submachine guns, automatic rifles, and other multi-hit weaponry also work for this, of course. It's worth noting that the new Antioch special fire team feature of Bloodbath at 3 blood markers means if the duo is following up on an already injured unit, the second flamer will be able to roll a 3d6 that ignores armor. But, funny enough, this actually doesn't meaningfully change your chance of killing due to the injury dice penalty of the flamethrower. This gives us the lowest of 3 out of 4 dice rolled, which results in about 51% kill chance. So don't bother unless you actually downed the unit for a bonus marker, which does bring it up to a nice 74% chance to kill. So in summary, never have your flamethrowers fight anyone that's not heavily armored. Try to have them not be the first attack on a model, even in those cases. Definitely worth it if you find yourself unable to deal with, say, an army of heavy mechanized infantry, but do check if your faction has other available anti-armor options, as they tend to be at a better price point for their effectiveness. It's really a question of if you want your worst units to have a more dedicated role besides sending stray shots downrange, and if so, have a dedicated buddy for the flamer unit to work with and a goal in mind rather than being an absent-minded purchase, since 20 ducats can go quite far in terms of upgrading your other, more consistent units.